You are listening to part 3 of episode 37 of the Psychotherapist Podcast. In this part of the episode, Dr. Bob and I discuss how Sam Harris, oh man, did Sam Harris done goof. He said some things about Hunter Biden, which we'll get into, which were a sweet little psycho. I try fentanyl live on the episode. And we also talk about nature, bioluminescent waves, and how sea otters are more evil than Sam Harris, and all that and more on this episode of the Psychotherapist Podcast. Alright, and we're back.
Okay.
And, did you have something? Because I got something.
You go.
So did you hear what Sam Harris had to say?
No.
About Hunter Biden?
No, but I saw Sam Harris on the news last night, but I couldn't hear what they were saying.
Do you know anything about his actual credentials?
Joe Biden?
No, Sam Harris.
Isn't he a psychologist?
That's what I thought, but I never really, I don't know. I heard he was like some fucking trust fund baby and his, like, mom wrote Golden Girls or some shit. I don't know. Maybe he's a fraud, maybe he's legit, I don't know.
His mother broke the what?
Wrote like some famous show like Golden Girls or something like that. I don't know. But I listened to him a few times and just for whatever reason just never really got into him. But he said the wildest shit recently, where he was talking about Hunter Biden's laptop, and I was glad basically that it was suppressed in the news. And he said Hunter Biden could have the corpses of children in his basement, and I would not care. I would not care. And it's just like, yeah, I think there's a certain point where it's like, if you're so obsessed with someone else's evil, I think you're just projecting, bro. You know what I mean? I think that's part of what TDS is people who are they think they're so passionate, but they're internally so vicious and ready to tear the enemy limb from limb, that it's just like, well, they can justify really fucking anything. He was like, Hunter Biden's corrupt doesn't even compare to Trump University, and I'm just like,
oh, that's the part I got, where he was saying something doesn't compare to Trump University.
Yeah, anything that Hunter had done, never mind the gun felony, never mind possibly taking showers with his niece, how much do you want to bet Hunter Biden has buried at least one hooker in his lifetime?
Oh, yeah, it's an interesting question.
I mean, we'll never get to the bottom of it, but, and I'm just putting myself on a list because I know the CIA is listening to our podcast.
Right. Well, I would think that, figuring that he spent a lot of time with hookers around cocaine, that increases the possible odds of something like that happening.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying he necessarily killed the hooker, just like the hooker overdosed, and he was like, well, I'm just going to bury this.
Yeah, it's like
I'm going to take out the trash.
Yeah, like these accidental deaths with the fentanyl, They call them overdoses, but truly they're not. They're people who are doing a drug. They think they're doing cocaine or heroin, but they're not trying to kill themselves, but there happens to be a fentanyl mix in there.
Well, does an overdose have to be intentional?
No.
Yeah.
Accidental overdose actually is considered in some ways a form of suicide. Like people would consider it, a possible suicide, an accidental overdose, where somebody is, is doing a heavy drug and pushing the envelope in terms of how much they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Besides a knee on the neck from Derek Chauvin, do you know of any of the particular symptoms of fentanyl? Because, it's something me Madre brings up all the time, is that the weed laced with fentanyl. And I'm not worried personally about that ever happening to me, but it's like, how would I know?
You wouldn't.
I would just think I was stoned and then have a heart attack 30 minutes later, is what you're saying, or stop breathing.
Exactly.
There's no acute symptoms.
Sadly, no. There's no, as far as I know, and everything I've read, there's no kind of a warning sign.
Well, shit.
Yep.
Well, it's a good thing I'm not worried about laced weed.
Yeah, but well, weed isn't so much one of the ones that's laced with the fentanyl either.
What usually is
Oh, cocaine,
heroin,
heroin,
all the good stuff.
Speed.
Made in China.
speed,
Speed, yeah.
party drugs, Molly, that sort of thing.
Yeah. What about like Adderall?
Ecstasy.
What about Adderall
I haven't heard of it. I have not heard, it being a mix with Adderall.
Interesting.
Pure Adderall is so hard to get. I mean, most people are getting it on the black market now.
Yeah. Well, for our audience, if I ever try fentanyl, I'll report back what happened.
All right, we hope that you'll get through it.
You hope
You'll be
we'll
able to
report back.
back.
Yeah, they might be out of Narcans by then.
Yeah, I have actually. During the pandemic, I took my stuff out of here that used for over the Narcan and the stuff for the overdoses.
Mm-hmm.
I have it at home. I'll have to get some more.
Shit, what are you holding on to it for?
You never know.
You never know. Yeah, shit, dog. Why not? You could. I mean,
you could be in a situation where something happens. And I used to actually carry it around like in restaurants and stuff. In case somebody OD'd.
Yeah. I was thinking you could just probably go to Skid Row and sell it for a fucking pretty penny. It's not a bad idea.
No, there were times when we got all these drugs for free. I mean, including Adderall. Is maybe up to 15 years ago. We had samples of all of that stuff.
God, that's a great sentence. Free Adderall. I miss those days, but could never go back to that shit.
No.
Not with like my heart condition and everything. It's just not a good idea.
It's so hard. Right now, it's one of the toughest drugs to get prescribed.
Yeah. Oh well. At this point, I don't really actually need it for anything now that my test and whatever is over. So.
Let's look at all the models. If you see models on TV, chances are good to doing Adderall.
Oh yeah, it kills your appetite. So it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And gives you energy.
Also true. Yeah, and also keeps you awake.
Yeah,
if you need to be.
Yeah, no. It does it all.
It does everything and more.
It does it all.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right, I was thinking, this hit me just out of the blue. Talking about strange phenomenon and stuff, and I remember reading about this, and then I didn't hear anything more about it. And it was just a phenomenon that occurred, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And this is just from a book that gives you it's supposed to be an inspirational reading, but then a real life event, and then they try to draw some comparison, to sort of a spiritual thing. This is just the hard facts about the incident, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can I just read it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Under the night sky in the spring of 2020, surfers rode bioluminescent waves along the coast of San Diego. These light shows were caused by microscopic organisms called phytoplankton, a name derived from a Greek word meaning wanderer or drifter. During the day, the living organisms create red tides and capture sunlight that converts into chemical energy. When disturbed in the darkness, they produce an electric blue light. And I remember reading about that, the surfers, really getting off on surfing in these electric blue waves.
That's so fucking cool, bro. I'm gonna have to Google image of that and just draw that shit later.
Yeah. Just think about that, you'd be interested in it.
Yeah, man. I just love visual shit. And I also love, I am trying a lot to integrate, like animals and like casual geographic into my book. Did I tell you about the monkey salute idea?
Nope.
So the idea is that basically Romulus goes into like a haunted forest with his buddies to look for treasure or what the fuck ever, and they come across the quote-unquote men of the forest, which is something I stole from like some 70s documentary about this chimp troop that would war on other chimps and fucking tear them limb from limb and shit. And so how there's clips of people at the zoo, like, standing behind some kids looking at the gorilla cage and then beating their chest, and the gorilla gets all triggered and rushes the, fucking cage or whatever. I thought it'd be hilarious if the Romans come across these monkeys and they're just, like, hanging out and doing whatever, and they're not, like, hostile, and they're just like, oh, that's cool. And then a few of them, just as a joke, say, let's salute our friend, salute our new comrades. And, the Roman salute is putting your fist to your heart, which looks like beating your chest. So they do this. The monkeys start doing this back. The Romans, like, start smiling. And showing your teeth is also a sign of conflict. So at that point, the monkeys just rush them and just, like, kill half the fucking party, Just little shit from animals. Like, I had this idea of a scene of a guy who gets killed by a dead whale, because how methane builds up in, like, beach whales, and if you don't, you can, like, poke them and then fucking basically just get blown the fuck away. Like, They come across a dead whale, they're like, birthday boy, go make sure it's dead, and then he gets fucking killed, and they're like, oh shit, how do we explain this to his wife?
Right.
And they make up this whole fucking story about how they slayed this fucking giant sea monster.
Doesn't it release, if you poke, like, a dead whale, doesn't it release gases?
Yeah, it's supposed to be, like, the methane that builds up, it causes them to explode. So, like, you can cause a puncture and it'll just, like, a geyser, just, and, like, you can take someone out with whale guts, like that. So, yeah, you gotta get, like, a professional with a big pole to kind of do it. So.
It's amazing. I remember when the first time I saw a beached whale, I was in Provincetown with my wife. We had a place right in the water, and heard noises the next morning, early in the morning, and looked out, and there was this massive whale, beached whale. Mm-hmm. All kinds of people congregating around it.
Oh wow!
But there were some people, like, with the brown, uniforms they wear. People who work around the water. The hell do they call them? Like the ocean police or whatever.
Coast Guard.
Yeah. Well, not the Coast Guard. They were more like the National Park Police, and they had, like, those poles, those long wheel poles that were, like, pointed at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poking thing.
Yeah, man. I just find the more you know about nature, the less likely you are to get killed.
Right.
Sea otters, they look very cute and approachable. They'll drown you.
Right.
They are vicious little bastards, and that's something that just is kind of always hilarious to me in nature, and something I'm going to represent a little bit in my book. Is like, take bears for instance. They look so fucking cute, but they'll destroy your
absolutely
fucking life. It's just weird how that works.
Cute little monkeys will just eat your face off in a heartbeat.
Meanwhile, like tarantulas, I'm pretty sure there's extremely low, if any, fatalities from a tarantula. Like, I think their bite's basically a bee sting.
Really?
But it looks like the most monstrous fucking thing on this planet, You just look at it and want to shoot it.
I know of I have some familiarity with the case where these, they're all privately owned. Parents pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to send their troubled kids to them. I can't think of what they call them. They give it a name like it's a school, but it's really like an outdoor adventure, wilderness program to straighten your kids out.
Interesting.
And I had one of the people I saw, there was a son in the group who got bitten by a scorpion in Utah and almost died. They had to get the venom and find, a scorpion and somehow derive the venom from that.
Holy shit.
It saved his life.
That's fucking crazy, bro. It just reminds me of a quick story I heard from Jesse Kelly talking about how we're so fucked when the next generation of Soviet boys are going to have to fight World War III for us. And, he's not even talking about combat. He's just talking about sitting out in the desert. I don't know if they were in California or where. And putting on your night vision goggles and seeing a sea of scorpions around you and then go to sleep. It's like, shit. The creepy crawlies I would not be a fan of. That's why I would take Stalingrad over, like, Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
No fucking bugs, But that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, some of those are pretty scary.
Also, when you're sleeping in a foxhole, there's just like no way you don't wake up with them an inch away from your face every night.
Exactly.
Yeah, so can't blame some people for just losing their goddamn minds.
Right.
Yeah.
It's torture.
That's basically, yeah.
Yeah, use it for torture.
I mean, yeah, there's plenty of examples of just, dig a hole and fill it with snakes or scorpions and then throw the fucking witch in it,
Yeah, exactly.
But that's just regular soldiering in a lot of places. It's just like constant misery, So we're fucked.
And there's not enough of that going on right now.
Because we want to turn all the men into bitches.
Yeah.
We want them to just do their nails and their eyelashes, never get their hands dirty, and just put women in charge of everything. I'm sure it'll work out great.
Is Jordan Peterson quiet? I know after being sick he quieted down a little bit, but I think he did write another book.